Ilan kami? The 15th session of the Senate and the first regular session of the 18th Congress is hereby called to order. Let us bow our heads and pause for a 1-minute silent prayer. Spirit. The Secretary may please call the roll.
Roll call of members, the Honorable Senators Angara, Binay, Cayetano, De Lima, De La Rosa, Drilon, Gatchalian, Go, Gordon, Ontiveros, Lacson, Lapid, Marcos, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Pimentel, Poe, Recto, Revilla, Tolentino, Villanueva, Villar, Zubiri, Senate President Soto III.
19, 20.
Yes, sir.
With 20 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Senator Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to defer approval of the reading and the approval of the journal to a later hour, Mr. President. I so move. And
Any objection? Hearing none, the approval is deferred.
Mr. President, we have several guests in the gallery today. We have guests from the municipality of Cabatuan, province of Isabela, headed by Mayor Charlton Uy, Vice Mayor Mario Acosta, and the Sagunian Bayan members of Cabatuan. And we also have with us Councilor Edwin Estal of Gitago, Misamis Oriental, Board Member A.J. Ribong of Occidental Mindoro, and we have the NCMF, National Commission for Muslim Filipinos, Secretary Saidemen Pangarungan, and the whole team of the NCMF together with their directors here with us today, Mr. President.
We would like to welcome all our guests to the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the reference of business.
Secretary will proceed with the reference of business.
Mr. President.
Before we do that, Senator Francis Tolentino is recognized.
Mr. President, yesterday before we adjourned, a bill, I forgot the exact number, I don't have the journal with me, was referred from the Committee on Basic Education to the Committee on Finance, as well as the Committee on Housing, with the concurrence of the good minority leader, Mr. President. Upon perusal of the rules, Mr. President, and as a point of parliamentary inquiry, I would like to seek a ruling from the chair as to whether bills with appropriations impact, and with due respect to the chair of the Committee on Finance, should be referred to the Committee on Finance as the primary committee. I raise this point, Mr. President, because our rules, specifically Section 15, would provide, and I quote, although a measure covers subject matters falling within the jurisdiction of more than one committee, it shall be referred to not more than two committees, provided that a motion for referral to a third committee shall be referred to the Committee on Rules, provided further that measures involving appropriation of funds or embodying tax or revenue proposals shall be respectively be referred also to the Committee on Finance for the appropriations aspect. My point of inquiry, Mr. President, is whether we have now superseded this rule, which is also related to Section 26, wherein, and I quote, in case a bill or joint resolution is reported out by a committee which contains an appropriation, revenue, or tax aspect, the same shall be referred to the primary committee, by the primary committee to the Committee on Finance. I seek a ruling from the chair, Mr. President.
Yes, it's very seldom that a bill is referred to the Committee on Finance as a primary committee. But what happened to proposed Senate Bill 934 was the suggestion of the minority leader yesterday was to refer it to the Committee on Finance. And that's the reason we did that. Now, if we have other suggestions now, we can entertain a motion to refer it to the primary committee and the finance as a support committee.
My point, Mr. President, is this might set a precedent wherein all bills with an appropriation aspect would be referred to the Committee on Finance as the primary committee. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. President, an aspect refers to just a part, a feature, a portion of a bill.
Yes, that is why it's seldom that it happens.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it only happens when the GAB is presented. That's referred to the Committee on Finance now. So in this case, it was a knee-jerk reaction because of the original referral yesterday that was read by the chair, presented by the Bills and Index, referred to another committee, and it was correctly pointed out by the minority leader that it should be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Mr. President.
But it does not mean that we are going to supersede the rules of the Senate. Therefore, we can make the Committee on Finance a secondary committee.
That's correct, Mr. President. I was about to intervene to say that
Yeah.
if there is a funding requirement needed in the House of Representatives as well as the Senate, the Finance Committee is only a secondary referral. It's only referred secondarily to the Finance Committee because the
Oh, so,
primary
all
committee
right.
would be the main point of the bill, which in this
All
case is housing for teachers.
So therefore, the chair rules that Senate Bill 934 is secondarily referred to the Committee on Finance, and it primarily referred to the Committee on Urban Planning.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And just also for the record, Mr. President, the reason why it was initially referred to the Basic Education Committee and primarily and Finance Committee as the secondary committee. As the 17th Congress, we had a similar, exact same measure that was filed to both committees. So our secretariat had deemed that they would follow the same referral of the 17th Congress. But there is in no way no one stopping us in the plenary to take action for
Oh, yes.
a reversal of these, or
We-
a new referral of the committee. of
We
the
can
bill.
always change the referral
Yes, Mr.
anytime.
President. So, to be clear, Mr. President, that bill, Senate Bill number 934, will be primarily referred to the Committee on Housing, Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement,
yes.
and secondarily to the
Committee on
Finance
Finance.
Committee.
Yes,
So
we have
moved,
already
Mr.
done so. So if we would wish to continue with the reference of business, we can.
Yes, we
But
move
may
forward.
may I remind the members of the Senate that there is a request for the Senate to
Okay, Mr.
go
President.
into a all senators caucus after this. So
Maybe it
please-
might be proper to do the all members caucus while we have a large number of senators present at the moment. So I defer the reference of business to a later hour, Mr. President, and move to suspend session for a few
Yes,
minutes.
and if Senator Pia Cayetano is all set also, because this was a request by her. In that case, the session is suspended for some few Senate minutes. We ask all the senators to join us in the Senators' Lounge.
Francis, magsalita ka, Francis. Yeah, of course. Yung ano pala, yung speech pala ni Senator Gordon on the Invancia, i-primary committee natin yung Blue. Yes.
SDG. Well, I'm still creating it on Monday. Apparently, the Secretariat wants one time na lang of the rules, one time amendment of the rules.
Thanks. Can I elect her muna? Yeah, and Senator Francis wants to be recognized.
Oh, oh. Correct. Okay. Okay. All right. Sige.
Ready to
Session
resume, Mr.
resumed.
President?
Yes.
Mr.
session
President,
resumed.
before we take up the reference of business, we just like to recognize in the plenary VIP area, Mr. Edgardo De Leon Patino, the 2019 World Class Achiever as Outstanding Violinist and Luthier in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And
Welcome to our guest in the Senate. Thank
yes,
you.
and one more, Mr. President, President of the Filipino-American Community of Los Angeles, California, Mr. Fernandico Gonong Jr. He's with us as well.
Thank you. Welcome to the Senate.
Thank you. Mr. President, may we recognize Senator Francis Tolentino for a quick manifestation, Mr. President.
Senator Francis Tolentino is recognized.
Just a short manifestation, Mr. President. In the world of diplomacy, some things are better left unsaid. Quoting Mr. Lincoln Chafee. Mr. President, just this afternoon, we received reports that pertinent to the June 9 Chinese-Filipino vessels incident near the Recto Bank, the Chinese side already issued an apology through an association. And I'd like to quote the pertinent provision of the letter, course to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. The ship owner of the Chinese fishing boat involved through our association, this refers to the Association of Guangdong Fish Vessels, would like to express his sincere apology to the Filipino fishermen. Mr. President, on the eve of the President's departure to the People's Republic of China, and on the eve of our basketball team's game, right at the heart of the association's place of interest, Guangdong, the Chinese government, the Chinese association, issued an apology. Subalit, mahal na Pangulo, dapat po sigurong ituloy din ang pagpupursige ng damages, sang-ayon din sa liham ng apology ng Chinese Association upang mabigyan ng hustisya ang ating mga Filipino fishermen. The letter of apology, Mr. President, shows the righteousness, the correctness, the validity of the Filipino version of the said ramming incident. Mr. President, I would like to reiterate once again, this representation's pending safety on sea law bill, which would ensure the safety and guarantee civil compensation for all those who will be involved in similar incidents. Muli po, mahal na Pangulo, itong pagbibigay ng letter of apology ng China ay nagpapatunay na tama po ang posisyon ng ating bansa at ang nagkamali po talaga ay ang vessel ng China. Maraming salamat, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We take note of the manifestation of the dear gentleman senator of Cavite.
Why don't we refer it to the Committee on Foreign Relations?
Yes, Mr.
That'll be a
President.
good,
So move, Mr. President.
all right. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion approved.
Mr. President, I move to elect Senator Nancy Binay as chairperson of the Committee on Science and Technology to replace Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, who was earlier elected as chair. This has the concurrence of Senator Gatchalian, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none. Senator Binay is elected.
And just a few more housekeeping items, Mr. President. With the adoption of Resolution 6, amending Section 13 of our Rules of the Senate, dividing the Committee on Education, Arts and Culture into separate standing committees, the Committee on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and Committee on Higher Education, we are hereby move to transfer several bills secondarily referred to then Committee on Education. Mr. President, I move to transfer the following bills to the Committee on Basic Education, Arts and Culture as the secondary committee. And may I be allowed to just read the Senate bill numbers, Mr. President?
Yes, you may read the
Thank you.
Senate bill numbers.
Senate Bill number 42, Senate Bill number 75, Senate Bill number 115, Senate Bill number 131, Senate Bill number 152, Senate Bill number 178, Senate Bill number 302, Senate Resolution number 34, Senate Resolution number 41, and Senate Bill number 396. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the enumerated Senate bill numbers or Senate bills and resolutions are hereby transferred.
Mr. President, for the following bills, I move to transfer to the Committee on Higher Technical and Vocational Education as secondary committee. These are Senate Bill number 1, Senate Bill number 41, Senate Bill number 151, Senate Bill number 231, and Senate Bill number 254. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the 5 Senate bills are hereby transferred.
Lastly, pursuant to Section 15 of our rules, may I move that for the Senate Bill number 19, or the bill to enhance the performance of public school teachers and higher education teaching personnel be referred to the Committee on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, and the Committee on Higher Technical Vocational Education, a secondary committee, second and third committee referral. I so move, Mr. President. Just to be clear, may I move that the Senate Bill number 19 and the bill to enhance the performance of public school teachers for higher teaching and higher education teaching personnel be referred to the Committee on Basic Education as primary committee, secondary committee, and third committee referral on the Committee on Higher and Technical Vocational Education. I so move, Mr. President. Who's the primary
Well,
committee?
as,
Who's the primary
as,
committee of this? Civil Service.
As
Civil
allowed.
Service being the primary committee, Mr.
All right,
President.
as allowed by Section 15 of the rules.
Yes, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, so moved.
And finally, Mr. President, upon review of the committee referrals, before we constitute the two committees of education, I move for the committee referrals of the following bills. Senate Bill number 127, Senate Bill number 210. Okay, Senate Bill number 127, Tulong Kabataan sa Agrikultura Act of 2019 to the Committee on Agriculture, Food, and Youth and Finance. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none. Motion approved.
Mr. President, Senate Bill number 210, the National Teachers Medical Center Act to the Committee on Health and Demography, Ways and Means and Finance. I so move.
Hearing no objection, so moved.
Mr. President, and Senate Bill number 243, Uniform Personnel Education Assistance and Benefits Fund to the Committee on Civil Service, Ways and Means and Finance.
Hearing no objection, approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I move to, for the reference of business, Mr. President?
Secretary will proceed with the reference of business.
Reference of business, bills on first reading. Senate number 953, entitled An Act Establishing the Philippine Marine Corps, defining its power and functions, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on National Defense and Security and Finance.
Senate number 954, an act regulating the use, recovery, collection, and disposal of plastic drinking straws in commercial establishments and pre-packed beverages, introduced by Senator Angara.
Referred to the Committees on Environment, Trade, and Finance.
Senate number 955, an act declaring Pag-asa Island Cluster in the Municipality of Kalayaan, Province of Palawan as an ecotourism destination and protected area, providing funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Tourism, Environment, and Finance.
Senate number 956, an act institutionalizing support mechanisms and protection for public school teachers and personnel in matters of student discipline for classroom management, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Basic Education and Women.
Senate number 957, an act providing for a teaching supplies allowance for public school teachers and appropriating funds therefore, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Civil Service, Basic Education, and Finance.
Senate number 958, an act lowering the optimal retirement age of public school teachers from 60 years old to 55 years old, amending for the purpose Section 13A of Republic Act number 8291, otherwise known as the Government Servants Insurance System Act of 1997, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Civil Service and Government Corporations.
Senate number 959, an act institutionalizing a school modernization and
Mr.
innovation.
President, just on the prior bill.
Senator Dillon.
Yes, that's Senate Bill 958.
958.
May I move that the Committee on Finance be the third committee, because this involves funding. When you reduce the retirement from 60 to 55, that will require a lot of funding, and therefore it should be referred also as a third committee to the Committee on Finance.
All right. Hearing no objection, what does the majority of Florida say? He agrees. Therefore, the Finance Committee is the third committee.
Senate
proceed.
number 959, an act institutionalizing a school modernization and innovation program for public elementary and secondary schools, providing funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Basic Education, Ways and Means, and Finance.
Senate number 960, an act requiring the teaching of disaster awareness and disaster mitigation as part of the curriculum of all primary and secondary schools and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Basic Education, National Defense, and Finance.
Senate number 961, an act creating an advanced studies development program for exceptional employees from the government and the private sector and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Higher Education, Civil Service, and Finance.
Senate number 962, an act creating a dental unit in every rural health unit under the Department of Health as part of the primary approach in the delivery of health services and providing funds therefore, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Health and Finance.
Senate number 963, an act strengthening the Office of the Government Corporate Counsel by rationalizing and further professionalizing its organization, upgrading positions, and appropriating funds therefore, introduced by Senator Angara.
To the Committees on Justice, Civil Service, and Finance.
Senate number 964, an act establishing a comprehensive training program for teachers of children with handicaps, introduced by Senator Binay.
To the Committees on Higher Education and Finance.
Senate number 965, an act providing for the identification, assessment, and education of children with autism spectrum disorder, introduced by Senator Binay.
To the Committees on Health, Basic Education, and Finance.
Senate number 966, an act establishing a no homework policy for all primary and secondary schools in the country, introduced by Senator Poe.
To the Committee on Basic Education.
Senate Number 967, an act creating and establishing the Institute for Strategic Studies and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Revilla Jr.
To the Committees on Civil Service and Finance.
Senate Number 968, an act strengthening the Citizen Armed Forces of the Philippines for instituting for the purpose a mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps ROTC program in the curriculum of all undergraduate degree, diploma, certificate, or technical vocational programs in public and private tertiary level educational institutions, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committees on Higher Education and Finance.
Senate Number 969, an act granting Philippine citizenship to Igor Dmitriev, introduced by Senator Pacquiao.
To the Committee on Rules.
Senate Number 970, an act increasing the hazard pay of all personnel of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and providing hazard pay to all civilian doctors and nurses under the AFP-MMC assigned in conflict areas, providing funds therefore, introduced by Senator Pacquiao.
To the Committees on National Defense and Finance.
Senate Number 971, an act redefining the crime of game fixing and prescribing stiffer penalties therefore, amending for this purpose Presidential Decree Number 483, introduced by Senator Pacquiao.
To the Committee on Sports.
Senate Number 972, an act to encourage good Samaritans to provide reasonable assistance in an emergency by protecting them from liability, introduced by Senator Gordon.
To the Committees on Social Justice and Justice.
Senate Number 973, an act to strengthen and reorient the mandate of the National Food Authority in order to ensure food sufficiency, for that purpose rationalizing its functions and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Revilla Jr.
To the Committees on Governmental Corporations and Agriculture.
Senate Number 974, an act defining good conduct, instituting additional measures for the implementation of good conduct time allowance, amending for this purpose Articles 97 and 99 of Act Number 3815 as amended, otherwise known as the Revised Penal Code, introduced by Senator Gordon.
To the Committees on Justice, Constitutional Amendments, and Finance. There is additional reference of business. You may proceed.
Additional reference of business resolutions. PS Resolution Number 108, entitled Resolution Directing the Appropriate Senate Committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the implementation of Republic Act 10592, particularly the computation of the good conduct allowances GCTA of persons deprived of liberty in light of the impending release of 11,000 inmates due to the revision of the computation of GCTA in its retroactive application, introduced by Senator Binay.
To the Committees on Justice and Constitutional Amendments.
PS Resolution Number 109, resolution congratulating and commending the 2019 Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos to be honored on 4 September 2019 at the Metrobank Plaza in Makati City, Philippines, introduced by Senator Zubiri.
To the Committee on Rules.
PS Resolution Number 110, resolution directing the Senate Committee on Finance to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the submission of a post-budget status report of the national government with the end in view of legislating more effective and responsive government appropriations and strengthening government mechanisms to ensure transparency and accountability over the utilization of public funds, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Finance.
PS Resolution Number 111, resolution directing the proper Senate Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the status and progress of the Build program with the end in view of mitigating the risks associated with its implementation, addressing issues that impede its progress, ensuring the realization of its objectives, and safeguarding national security and public interest, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Economic Affairs.
PS Resolution Number 112, resolution directing the appropriate Senate Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the bidding process of the Public-Private Partnership PPP projects with the end in view of ensuring that the Filipino people will benefit from quality public services at the least possible cost, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Public Works.
PS Resolution Number 113, resolution directing the appropriate Senate Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the contingent liabilities arising from the Public-Private Partnership PPP projects with the end in view of institutionalizing fiscal discipline and strengthening government mechanisms to enforce transparency and accountability over the utilization and reporting of public funds, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Finance.
PS Resolution Number 114, resolution directing the appropriate Senate Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the African swine fever with the intent of determining the appropriate government intervention to prevent and control the outbreak of transboundary animal diseases in the country and strengthening the mandates of government agencies in ensuring the sustainability of local livestock inventories, the security of livelihood of local livestock producers, and accessibility and adequacy of food supply in the Philippine market, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Agriculture.
PS Resolution Number 115, resolution directing the appropriate Senate Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the condition of the jail and prison facilities in the Philippines with the intent of strengthening government mandate to uphold the dignity of human person, to protect the rights and welfare of persons deprived of liberty, and to rehabilitate and reform individuals in conflict with the law, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Justice.
PS Resolution Number 116, Resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the practice of outsourcing the procurement of non-common use supplies and equipment of the Philippine National Police and other government agencies, with the end in view of strengthening government mechanisms to enforce public procurement laws, improving transparency in the procurement process, adopting and enforcing a simple, streamlined, and efficient system of procurement, and providing effective, satisfactory, and timely public service for all, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Finance.
PS Resolution Number 117, Resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the viability of the prevailing pension programs of the military and other uniformed personnel organizations with the intent of ensuring equitable allocation of government resources, adequate benefits and assistance to Filipino pensioners, and the sustainability of government pension programs, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on National Defense, Public Order, and Finance.
PS Resolution Number 118, Resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the dredging of sand and other aggregates from various bodies of water in the Philippines, with the end in view of strengthening government mechanisms to enforce Philippine mining laws, safeguarding Philippine national interests, and maintaining a balanced and healthful ecology for all, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Environment. Proceed with the second additional reference of business.
Second additional reference of business, bills on first reading, Senate Number 975, titled An Act Establishing a Welfare and Social Assistance Program to Families Left Behind by Overseas Filipino Workers, introduced by Senator Binay.
To the Committees on Labor, Women, and Finance.
Senate Number 976, an act requiring the disclosure of food allergen information on menus and boards of food establishments and raising awareness on food allergens, introduced by Senator Lapid.
To the Committees on Health and Trade.
Senate Number 977, an act amending Republic Act Number 4200, entitled An Act to Prohibit and Penalize Wiretapping and Other Related Violations to the Privacy of Communication and for Other Purposes, introduced by Senator Lapid.
To the Committees on Public Order and National Defense.
Senate Number 978, an act granting additional leaves for victims of domestic violence, providing parameters therefor, and amending for such purpose Republic Act Number 9262, otherwise known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act, introduced by Senator Lapid.
To the Committees on Civil Service, Labor, and Labor.
Senate Number 979, an act providing for a Magna Carta for the road transportation sector, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Public Services.
Senate Number 980, an act strengthening local infrastructure industry players, amending for the purpose Section 23 of Republic Act Number 9184, otherwise known as the Government Procurement Reform Act, and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Finance.
Senate Number 981, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to ABS-CBN Broadcasting Corporation, presently known as ABS-CBN Corporation, under Republic Act Number 7966, entitled An Act Granting the ABS-CBN Broadcasting Corporation a franchise to construct, install, operate, and maintain television and radio broadcasting stations in the Philippines and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Rules.
Senate Number 982, an act prescribing the order of presidential succession, introduced by Senator Lacson.
To the Committee on Constitutional Amendments.
Senate Number 983, an act establishing a separate facility for prisoners convicted of heinous crimes, introduced by Senator Gordon.
To the Committees on Justice and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I move to change the referral of the privileged speech of Senator Gordon on the Vaxa issue delivered on August 20 last week from the Committee on Health as primary committee to the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers, or the Blue Ribbon, as the primary committee, and the Committee on Health as the secondary committee, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, so transferred.
Thank you, Mr. President. As well as I move to refer, to change referral on Senate, this is my bill, Mr. President, Senate Bill Number 103, the potable water supply for every barangay. Move to change referral to the Committee on, it was primarily the Committee on Health as primary committee and Trade and Commerce as secondary committee. My motion, Mr. President, is due to the fact that the DILG now has a, what you call a Saling Tubig program, giving potable water to the barangays, and we just like to institutionalize this. So therefore, I move that we change with the concurrence of the chairman. I just spoke to him just now, Mr. President. The referral to the Committee on Local Government as the primary committee, and the secondary committee is Committee on Health, and third committee would be the Committee on Public Works, because they are the ones who implement the project. I so move, Mr. President. This is for Senate Bill number...
in relation to Section 15.
in relation to Section 15.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Thank you. That's for Senate Bill number 103. With that, Mr. President, no other matters to be taken up. I move that we adjourn session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, September 2, 2019. I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none, session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in
Yes,
the afternoon.
Mr. President, before we adjourn, there's a request from Senator Nancy that if we can invite Jo Marie Chan on Monday to sing the Christmas carol songs. I'm just joking, Mr. President. You can scratch that off the way.
Who will pay for the talent fee? Never mind. Any objection? Hearing none, the session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Monday, September 2, 2019.